Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
welcome everyone to the virtual Sunday feast lecture of the Labor Day weekend in ISKCON, New York City. As you might be knowing, this would be also telecast on ISKCON New York City TV, the YouTube channel. And we are very fortunate today to have the association of His Grace Pran Govinda Prabhu. A very short introduction. Prabhuji joined in a very young age in Mayapur in 1979, I believe, Prabhu, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
And from that time, he has been serving in Srila Prabhupada's mission. Currently, he is based at Alachua, New Raman Reddy, and he's a sannyas candidate. So, and many of you might be knowing that he was the final priest who did the final rites of His Holiness Bhakti Char Swami Maharaj. And so let's hear from him on this beautiful topic about false ego, how to control it, why it happened, and all those things. So I give the hosting rights to Prabhuji, and at sharply 8 p.m. You can either type in your questions or raise your hands. I'll unmute you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. First of all, I like to welcome all of you. And also, I like to, actually, I feel great. And I want to appreciate ISKCON New York to allow me to serve on their Sunday Feast audience. Also, I'm eternally grateful to Srila Prabhupada that this is such a beautiful program he made. I just came from Alachua Sunday Feast. We had a program there. And just we close at 7 and where New York starts. So it's very interesting. I didn't miss either one. Also, I'm very grateful to Prabhupada that every temple has a beautiful program for all the devotees to participate. And the highest devotional path in this age is hearing and chanting, and both are well performed in every ISKCON center all over the world. So I'm eternally indebted to Srila Prabhupada, and I'm grateful. Also, I'm very much appreciating all the audience members for participating, and you are showing your willingness to hear about Krishna. That itself inspires myself too. Thank you. And I appreciate Suman Prabhu for hosting this wonderful program. So today topics is that Ram Sharan Prabhu texts me. I guess he organized the classes for New York. And he says the title of the class is The Dangerous False Ego, How to Recognize and Take Much Needed Precautions. So I break down into 4 that question. What is real ego? And what is false ego? The second question is why this is called dangerous false ego. And third is how do we recognize what is false ego? And question number 4 is how can we take much needed precautions? Well, believe or not, I have to confess, when I joined, I came 77 also, Mayapur, just for few days, and then I left and I came back and I stayed. It was Bhakti Charu Maharaj who was very kindly accommodated whole facility. I'm eternally indebted to him. When I came to ISKCON, or I was around the devotees, I don't remember hearing false ego. I was always like, do some service and chant, get up for Mangalarti. It was going on for years. And then once in a while you would hear about false ego. There is something called false ego. And then you develop an idea, because I was focusing on the spiritual side of the life, and you kind of like escape from the material world, and you don't want to face it. And then later on, I got involved in family life, then I was facing it. Still, the idea of false ego was something not as important. Last 10 years or maybe 8 years, I found out the whole world is running on false ego. When I did the more research and modern research, I found myself even that the biggest challenge in our life is that misidentifying self. And that was false ego. The whole material creation is meant for rebellious soul, as Prabhupada says, who are not prepared to accept subordination under the Supreme Lord. The spirit of false lordship is called false ego. So today, I was also thinking, can we focus on how you see the world, not how the world sees you? In Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 5th chapter, 28, Srila Prabhupada writes something very interesting. He says the false ego is the binding force of material existence. Once we understand the false ego, actually false ego is the base root of the whole material creation, including New York, including Alachua, anywhere and everywhere. And everybody or anything, anywhere anybody is doing, it's all based on false ego. So I started getting scared. and then within a year, somebody asked me to talk on false ego. It's very relevant. So Srila Prabhupada writes, this false ego is the binding force of material existence. The Lord again and again gives a chance to the bewildered, conditioned souls to get free from this false ego. And that is why the material creation takes place in intervals. Bhutta bhutta praliyate. You will hear this verse in Bhagavad Gita. He gives the conditioned soul all facility to rectify the activities of the false ego. It does not interfere with their small independence as a part and parcel of the Lord. Now, this is a slide everybody can see. Suman Prabhu put it, and I am very much thankful to Mother Vishnupriya Devidasi to make this in a short notice. She's genius. So she put it exactly what we wanted. The first question is, what is real ego? Then we'll talk what is false ego. What is real ego? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you all know, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Divera Swarupa Hai Krishnara Nityadas. Krishnara Tatastha Shakti Veda Veda Prakash. So Srila Prabhupada translates something like this, that it is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna. What does that mean? What is that constitutional, the word constitutional? You know, in Hindi or in Bengali, they call Sanvidhanic. When I try that, I don't think people even understand. They think like some congressman made this. No, constitutional means the essential principle, essential of you, each of us, existence, nature, position, function is what constitutional, in a pure state. So there's three things. Our constitutional, from this sloka we find, constitutional position is servant. Constitutional nature is love, service. And constitutional function, the person who is served. So service, servant, and served. Prabhupada used sometime lover, beloved, loved. Same principle. This is what these three things makes the constitutional position. Swarup, Jiveda Swarup, Swarup, original. This original, Jiva has this. Now, in order to express love, there has to be two components with it. One is conscious choice, or you can say free will, which has a willpower, and desire. This two goes with the chit potency in order for a soul in its purest form express love to the beloved Lord. So I'm talking about what is real ego. Then we'll talk about what is false ego. So these three components makes the constitutional or real ego. Little more details can be found in Bhagavatam, very details, but just to summarize, Bhagavatam says, Beddam Vastavam Atra Bostu. Vastavam Bostu. Krishna is addressed as, in Sanskrit, Vastava Bostu. Absolute substance. Substance. So an object is called Bostu. Its eternal nature is known as its eternal function. Natures arise from the elementary structure of an object. This is a key point. It sounds very technical, but it is very important. By Krishna's desire, when an object is formed, a particular nature is inherent in that structure as an eternal concomitant factor. That nature is inseparable. Just like Prabhupada gave example, liquidity of a water. Liquidity of a water is eternal. Water and liquidity are one substance, not two. Fire and burning quality, heat and light, these are one substance. This is what made of. Fire is made of burning quality. Fire is made of light and heat. Water is made of liquidity. This is its own original nature. That's one thing. This is called original ego, that the soul has eternal nature to love, eternal position as a servant, and eternal function as a service. These three things can never be changed. This is in a modern language, you can say default position, which is very wonderful actually in a pure form. Then comes what is the unnatural or false. The nature of a given object, I'm going to summary what I understood from Prabhupada's purport. The nature of a given object becomes altered or distorted when a change takes place within it, either by force or of circumstances, due to contact with other objects. With the passage of time, this distorted nature becomes fixed and appears to be permanent.
What's going on with the audio? It's okay.
Hare Krishna. As if
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, you need to unmute yourself.
something happened somewhere. Okay. Is it okay now? You can
Yes,
hear me
Prabhu.
now?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So for an example, water has a liquidity, natural liquidity. But when you take the water in a different temperature, freezing condition or steaming, boiling, the same water, it turned into ice cube. Now what happened to the liquidity? This question may arise. If the nature is inborn, innate of the substance, what happened to the liquidity of the water? It's still there. But with intelligence, you can understand. You cannot prove it in the freezing condition that the water has a liquidity. Because it's hard rock, like a rock. You can literally hit somebody with it. But if you take out of freezing condition, you'll see very soon it will melt and liquidity will be visible. Similarly, the soul, conscious being, original nature is love, not lust, not hate, not envy, not pride. This is what false ego constituted with, all these bad quality. Now we'll stay still the first slide. We'll come back to this later. So what happened? Original nature, I'm going to come back there, that the soul has a pure love. An object of love is Krishna, and he offers his love, and he is endowed with free will. But then Krishna is such a personality that he wants to experience every sorts of taste that available anywhere, everywhere, since time immemorial. So there are sets of jiva who are given an opportunity to expose their beginning at the marginal level. So in this slide, you can see this man, or you can say the soul, he is walking on the marginal level between the land and the ocean. This is in Bengali or Sanskrit called tata. Tata means the line that distinguish or connects the both land and the water. So the soul that in this material world are coming out from there. Srila Prabhupada explained, Tatastha Jiva. Jiva namak ekosakti, Tatasthaika ekosakti hai, Mahasankarsan sarva jivera ashray. This is the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita explained that how we all come from this Tatastha region. And Tatastha region, when you came there, what happened to you? You have a free will. Free will, Krishna will never intervene. Srila Prabhupada repeated this. Krishna will never intervene in our free will. Why? Because without free will, you cannot have a expression of love. For an example, Hridayananda Maharaj was asking Prabhupada that how is possible that Krishna gave us free will, now that misuse of the free will, we are suffering here. So then Prabhupada was explaining in a morning walk how the most valuable things in our life we have is the free will. We should understand this free will and we should actually appreciate, we are eternally thankful to Sri Krishna to give us eternally, made us with this free will, free choice. So Prabhupada gave an example. Just imagine you put a gun on the forehead of a girl and you say, you love me or I'll kill you. Now, is that metaphor appropriate to express the love? This man putting the gun at the forehead of the girl and saying that you love me or I'll kill you. So devotee figured it out. They say, no, love should be a choice. Very good. Similarly, Krishna gave us a choice. So we, each of us in this material world, whoever are here, we are given a chance to take first manifestation of our conditioning, of our revealing this expression in the junction of material and spiritual world. They are called Tatastha Jiva. So when you are kind of from indifferentiated to differentiated position you came, you are given a choice to look at both sides. Tasmin tishtannate uvasthane pashyanti idancha paralokasthanancha. These are the verses given. That you are looking at the spiritual world and you are looking at the material world. And you make your choice. Those who looked at spiritual world, they liked it. they immediately transferred to the spiritual world. Those who looked at material world, just like here, oh, what a fun, what's going on there? That's all. You desire a little bit, you are immediately gone to that material side. So now you are here in the material world. Now you can take off so you now know where, why, how did you come here? Huh? So in this now we are going to talk about the material world here, how the false ego started. In this analogy, there's two things to be noticed. One thing is that there's an eternal substance, Krishna and spiritual world, and essentially we are spiritual. That is also real substance, essential substance. But what our experience in the material world is not an eternal substance. It may not have any eternal connection. It is a hallucination or hazy substance, not so clear. Then comes from this statement that Bhagavatam explained, Veddam Vastavam Atra Vastu, that our turning away from Tatastha region to the material, then what happened? What took place? Now, there's a secret. The soul, each of us, in our constitutional structure, try to understand from that angle. Constitutional structure, the way we are made originally, has no trace of enjoying matter, that matter. The body of a girl, body of a boy, ice cream, whatever in this material world, we do not have any trace to enjoy these material senses. We are made for spiritual, wonderful, forever blissful life. But we choose, misuse of free will means we choose this instead of serving Krishna. So then we are here. Now what happened? The soul is unfit to enter into the material world to explore. I want to come to America. I was in India. Now I want to make more money and enjoy bigger house, all this exploration. Now what happened? How is possible if the soul did not have any enjoyment spirit in their original structure? Who is in charge of this material world? Lord Shiva. When there is a decentralized government means when not everybody has the same idea. When everybody has one idea how to please Krishna everywhere, every way, that is called spiritual world. And the material world means I have my idea, you have your idea, he has his idea, she has her idea. Everybody wants their own exploration, and they created some law so we can survive on this exploration. It's not survival, we want to exploit. That's the whole idea they came. But question is how the jiva came to get this idea to enjoy this. Who is the enjoyer of, who is the owner of the material world? Krishna. But Krishna handed over this to Maya Devi, the material energy, Prakriti, nature. She has two manifestations. She is a person, also the dead matter. Dead matter has two extension. One is subtle, one is gross. Gross is earth, air, water, fire, ether. And subtle is mind, intelligence, and ego. That's false ego. So before the soul came to entered to the material world, there is a birthplace of a covering potency. That birthplace or birth center, birth boy, is the false ego. False ego was born before you entered into material world. So false ego is a product of the material nature, but born at the border, before the border of material nature, and covers you. What does that mean? Means I had no idea. I'm just a servant. Pure state, constitutional position, I'm a servant. Nothing to do with the material nature. But when I misuse the free will, misuse free will means did not develop desire to serve Krishna, I misuse it, then immediately, like for an example, I give you a practical example. I gave this many times because it's happened twice to me in life. I hope it never happens anymore. I live in a country life. So we have a long road, no lights, stop sign. Every four-way stop, there's a big stop sign. And it says STOP with the red paint in the back and white on the top. And it's very clear. And I know how to read STOP. But as I am coming to the stop sign, stopping place, I look around, nobody's there within a mile or two, or as much my eyes could see. So I slow down and I take off again, speed up and go. After a few minutes, I saw there's a flashlight and I got $182 ticket. And I reflected so many times, why didn't I stop? Why I went completely almost stopping, but not stopped. It says stop. Stop means stop, full stop. But I went slow and I took off. I don't know, maybe it never happened to anybody else. I'm sure somebody happened, but it happened to me twice. So then I think, okay, I have a free choice to stop or not stop. If I stop, then I'm obedient. I will not get the ticket. But obviously, I had a misuse of free will. Well, nobody is here. This logic is not applicable. Why? Because it says stop sign. It did not say if nobody is there, you can stop or like this. No, it says just a big circle, stop. That's all. But I did not. And I slowed down. I left. I got ticket. So I can understand how this misuse of free will occurs to the soul. Nobody to be blamed. It's only self. We have to blame ourselves. Why did we come here not serving Krishna? Of course, there's another beauty. Krishna wants you to come back with all this experience that how you did not like any of this. Ultimately, everything baffled and everything. And Krishna wants to hear everything from you too. It's a wonderful journey. The moment I misused my free will, I was given an allure. What is allure? Beautiful family, beautiful boy, beautiful girl, beautiful, wow, all this circle, what is going on? Wow, some fascination was there, not knowing that it is actually cause of misery. Some attraction is there. Just like when you drive on the road, if there is an accident, nobody likes the accident, but we look at it. I look at it too. What happened, how this accident happened? Because it's a natural attraction is there in this material world, which is not good, accident, but still we look. Similarly, when we got this allure, we wanted to explore. But how am I going to explore? This false ego took over. What does that mean? The owner of Maya, not Krishna directly handling, but through Shiva he is handling. That's why the beginning, there is a Shiva Lingam. You will see there's a genital portion and then the linga, vagina of Maya Devi. They are together, Shiva Lingam we call, and we worship also in this temple some on Shivaratri Day. This is the birthplace. Their union produced the false ego. Their union produced our subtle body. This body is given by my parents, physical body. But false ego, the false ego and the subtle body is not given by my parents, coming from Lord Shiva and Parvati. So when I desire to enjoy the material world, this consciousness of Shiva, what is the Shiva consciousness? He is the king of the material world. Krishna appointed him. He can enjoy Maya as much he wants. There is nothing wrong. He doesn't have to pay for it. He's the king. King means he owns everything. He can enjoy as much he wants. But when I wanted to desire, I desired to enjoy, that consciousness of Shiva entered in me. Just like the ice or the water when in the freezing, and now it became a rock, ice cube. Liquidity is not visible. Service nature to God feeling for God is not visible. Sometimes, to be honestly, I mean, nowadays it's changed after, many decades practicing. Yes, we do feel love for the Lord. But there was a time in the beginning I didn't feel. I was just doing it like a duty, chanting. Nowadays we do out of love. We love Krishna, we want to chant. But in the beginning it is like a duty bound. I remember very clear. There was no genuine feeling. So that is there like ice. Similarly, when Shiva consciousness enters into our consciousness, then our consciousness alters, distorted. Then I think, I can be the president of America. Maybe I can rule the world. I can be the king and enjoy as much. This idea is not possible for soul to ever in their constitution. It is a distorted Shiva consciousness entering to Jiva. And then Jiva thinks, I'm also an enjoyer. I can enjoy. So this is called false ego. So to get out, let's see, Prabhu, can you go to the next slides? Are you there, Suman Prabhu? Oh, good, wonderful. Now, I'm going to give you, before that, a few topics. One is Sambandha Gyan. Now you understood how we came here, how the Shiva consciousness entered into our consciousness, and we feel also legitimate. I'm a beautiful girl, I'm a beautiful, handsome boy, I have money, or I'm going to work hard to make money. This idea of enjoyment here, it is only because our original consciousness distorted, altered. Like the liquidity of water, altered, now is ice cube. It has to come out of the freezing condition to normal condition, then liquidity will be visible. Similarly, bhakti, devotion to Bhagavan is the beginning of that transformation. The ice cube out of freezing to normal table on a plate, then slowly, slowly it will start melting. Similarly, when we are introduced to bhakti, we were told that we should understand Sambandha Gyan. What is Sambandha Gyan? Sambandha Gyan means there is a relationship with this material nature, with New York, with the whole world, and myself, and with God. What is my relationship with God, Krishna? What is God's relationship with me? What is my relationship with the nature? Nature relationship with me, and the nature relationship with Krishna, and Krishna's relationship with nature. When we understand this whole 6 questions thoroughly, then Sambandha Gyan is established in the heart. Then it will push us to progress in spiritual path. This is very important. Without Sambandha Gyan, we will not feel impetus to do bhakti. And because, as I mentioned, because distorted form means you have 3 things heavily established in your consciousness. You think, I can exist without God. Actually, I tested with this professor. I asked him, you think you can live without God? He said, why not? I said, where is this idea coming from? Because distorted consciousness, person can think he has an existence separately from God. That's one. Second, I'm a legitimate enjoyer of whatever is available within me. I can enjoy as many a girl or a boy and houses, land, money, anything that I can purchase, I can enjoy. Legitimate. Third, I want to be the ultimate controller and lording over. To a point that I want to be as good as controller like God. These 3 things can never go away from us unless we adapt. Now, question Prabhu asked, Ram Swarup Prabhu, that what is the danger about this false ego. So I'm going to, in a brief, I'll explain. If you have an enemy, I want you all to recognize our most dangerous enemy. Now, if you have an enemy who wants to destroy you, then you will be alert to the danger, isn't it? And you will try to protect yourself. However, if our enemy had the power to become invisible, then we would be greater danger, isn't it? It's worse. We would be in the greatest danger if we had an enemy who concealed their enmity and earned our trust. Like what? By like sweet word. Oh, Prabhu, how are you? Hello, sir, how are you? I have something to give you, free gift. You know, something like, oh, I'm your neighbor. You just bought the house, you came. You know, is there something I can do to help you? Free, cutting lawn and everything. It's like, wow, what a sweet neighbor. I mean, this all sounds sweet. But what if you had an enemy who concealed their enmity and earned our trust by sweet words and captivating promises? This is false ego is doing. So the question Ram Swarupa will ask, yes, it is the deadly danger because the false ego is within us and we act on it every day. I think I'm this body. That is false ego. I think what I'm thinking, the mind, that is false ego. But I'm accepting this. It is the most deadly danger. We all have such most dangerous enemies inside us in the form of our self-destructive urges. These urges, Prabhus and mothers, triggers within us irrational desires that impel us to action that hurts us and those who we love. Testimony to the dangerousness of these enemies are millions of addicts across the world. Pertinently, Chaitanya Charitamrita declares that such urges are our enemy. But if we love our enemy and we don't know that they are enemy because they conceal themselves, how are you ever going to be protected? Possible. Though pondering to them, you know, actually ends in pain. It seems initially enjoyable. Sense enjoyment, initially enjoyable. By their deadly deceptiveness. And such urges cover our knowledge about spirituality and eventually destroys our knowledge. And not only that, our inclination to seek knowledge. But Guru Krishna are very merciful. We don't have to become paranoid. Though we are targeted by such deadly enemies, we all can be protected by far greater power. The power of the omnipotent, omniscient, divine Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But unfortunately, we often don't take connecting with Krishna seriously. We treat our spirituality almost like an optional hobby, not realizing that it is an essential survival resource. I mean, I confront sometimes devotees if they are chanting, if they are connecting with Krishna every day. Oh, I try. No, this is not a good word, I try. So when we understand how dangerous our inner enemies are, the resulting healthy fear inspires us to increase our absorption in Krishna and thereby protecting ourselves. This is very important. Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam, also Bhagavad Gita has many quotations that on seeing addicted people, relapsing despite their best intention, sometimes even I wonder, do they still have some free will? Can they lose? I mean, is it possible to lose our free will? No! To understand how we always have a free will, consider a net surfing example. For an example, in computer we use. When we visit a site repeatedly, what happens? It opens as our default homepage. And this happens whenever I open the computer. Similarly, when we indulge in a particular pleasure repeatedly, that indulgence becomes the default impulse stored in our mind, and that is false ego. Function of the false ego. So Chaitanya Charitamrita implies that absence of false ego is the doorway to Sambandha Gyan, or that sixth question I narrated little earlier. Those who have humility learn and grow. Those who prove that they are right, even when they are not being, like shutting the door of humility. They look themselves outside the house of knowledge. In the arena of illusion, what happened? In the war of ego, I remember many years back, I went to this Mayavadi, one guy, and we tried to argue. And actually it ended up was not even proving the point or the truth. It is like, who is going to win? When generally people disagree on an issue, the disagreement sometimes degenerate into a war of egos because of the false ego. That's how you recognize the false ego. Where the issues are pushed into the background, people obsess on proving that they are right, not in determining what is right. In such argument, winners often ends up as bigger loser. You perhaps some of you already read. One time I read in one cartoon, there's two scientists were walking on a jungle path, and there was a piece of paper torn into two pieces. So they started arguing. They said, what caused this to torn? One said, well, probably some scissor, there was somebody with the scissor cutting. The other says, no, it was probably hit by some rock, some rubbing somewhere it got. And they started arguing. The argument went so heavy that there was a lake nearby, one pushed another one in the lake, and the person who is pushing the other person down, he's going to about to die, but still he sticks out his hand and showing these two fingers. Can you see my two finger? He said, no, Caesar cut it. He wants to be right. This false ego is such a dangerous. So every time you think, you identify with your pride or your body as a self, it's a function of the false ego. False ego means false identification, Prabhupada says. Our nation's life began, the material life began from this false identification. I am Krishna's, but false ego means I claim I'm not Krishna's. I belong to this world. I'm American, I'm Indian, like this. All this identity is there. False ego also means that you look for your own interest. You're not looking for God's interest. When you look for God's interest in spiritual world, nobody looks for their own interest. Why? It's automatically there. Is there two sides of the same coin? When they're feeding Lord, they are overeaten themselves. They feel like so much. It's like a natural. But in the material world, it is not experienced in that way. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 1858 that if you don't hear about Krishna, anytime you have not, whenever there is some harikatha or something or japa, if you don't feel attraction, that means false ego is acting. Machitta sarvadurgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. Atacheta hankara na shusrasi binakshasi. And if you don't hear, you will fall down. You will be lost again. So, as we understand, I'm going to now give you some tips. What are the needed precautions, as Prabhu asked the question in the beginning. Srila Prabhupada writes in Act of Devotion, we just recently studied the Bhakti Shastri. Chapter 2, I'm going to paraphrase what I remember, that as a man's mental disease is cured by the directions of a psychiatrist, so the daily practice, daily chanting, cures the conditioned soul of his madness under the spell of Maya, material illusion. That was attracted me to that sentence was Prabhupada. And that's what we do. We're not showing as a pride, but every day we do have a good sadhana in Alachua, every devotee. And I hope every devotee all over the world doing that, and inviting more people to come and do this. This is necessary. This is how, even if you fail or do, but if you maintain your sadhana, you will be still considered under Krishna's guidance. So in this picture, I'm going to give you explanation. Oh, okay. When it will come back. And Srila Prabhupada also write in Madhya-lila chapter 25.278 that if you don't practice every day reading and chanting, you will fall down for sure. That scared me. You read that purport, you will be scared also. That it is necessary every day we chant, otherwise we will fall down. Now you may say, Krishna is a loving God. How much we have to do to experience that? Isn't Krishna can easily just take us there? This idea will be there. Well, one of the favorite verse, I quote this many times in Bhagavad Gita is 11.33. Tasmat tamutthishtata jaso labasya jitta satrun bhungshe rajyam samriddhim mayeva ite nihata purvameva nimittamatram bhavasabvasachi. So Krishna told to Arjuna, you please get up. Uttishtata. Get up from this lamentation. Fight and win the glory. Conquer your enemies. Enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. And you, Vasabhasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So try to become an instrument of Guru and Krishna. This is the lesson. This is very important. You want to get rid of false ego? Between you and Krishna, between me and Krishna, there is another person who is blocking our vision. You want to remove him? You have to practice this sadhana bhakti. You have to do your part. Just like some people think that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to pursue Arjuna to fight for establishing dharma. That's true. Some people think like this. Some of us think like this. However, in this verse, if you look at 11.33, that Krishna reveals that opponents of dharma were already neutralized by Krishna's arrangement. Krishna already killed them. So why Arjuna need to kill now? You may think like this. God loves me. I love God. Why I have to go through still a lot of sadhana and struggle? Arjuna had to become an instrument in that arrangement. If Krishna had beforehand secured the result, because already he put them into death, means Arjuna going to win. So in one sense, you can say Krishna already secured the result. Why did he speak the Gita to Arjuna then? Can you answer that? Why did he speak Gita to Arjuna? Because he wanted to instruct Arjuna, through Arjuna, all of us, about the art of working in devotional consciousness. About the art of working in devotional consciousness. So there Krishna explained the results of our work are not solely in our hands. Try to remember this. They are shaped by factors beyond our control. Factors that are ultimately under Krishna's control. When he desires a particular result, he can arrange for it by his omnipotence. He does not need us for that. But we need to connect with him if we realize our longing for lasting love and joy as his eternal parts. We can connect with him by working in a mood of loving service to him, offering him our consciousness through our endeavor on his behalf. Then the journey will be over. Choosing Krishna is the one choice that empowers us to make better choice. Because of the time, I'm just going to give a 1-minute explanation about these slides. You see in the middle, you see Lord Shiva. Yes, everybody can see that, no? You see Lord Shiva in the middle, and there is a devotee also somewhere. Is the slide has a beginning, one devotee? Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. There's a devotee you see, that's me. Or if you feel you can be also. In our spiritual journey, we are situated in the middle of these two worlds. Because those are devotee means two things. This is most important. Please write it down in your memory. You must have a subordination. You must be engaged in devotional service. Otherwise, you are not considered you are coming to this. This is the place where somebody has these two things. Every day they are engaged in devotional service and they are under guidance of their guru like this. Then they are facing into this. There is a two opposite current. One current wants to take us to spiritual world. Another current wants to take us to material world. Sometimes we feel those who are not yet completely out of this devotional, pure, from condition to pure, they think like this. I want to become pure devotee. I want to surrender 100% to Prabhupada and Krishna. I don't want anything anymore in the material world. I'm done. I'm completely surrendered from today on. And after 1 week, there is a beautiful Mataji or a handsome boy. Oh, my grandfather died. He left some money for me. Wow, I can buy a house. Oh, maybe my friend, he wants to take me to Paris to enjoy for a while. Wow. We find both nature is there. We want to enjoy a little bit of this world. Also, we want to go to spiritual world. If you ever come to this conclusion, or maybe it's just me, I think, when I find these verses and they align, then you think like, oh my God, I have this dual nature within me. That is called Shambhu Tattva Shiva. Lord Shiva resides there. He's outside the material world, but not in the spiritual world. He's in the middle. And if you ever come to this, or you are already there, lot of even advanced devotee, even some sannyasi, they are advanced, but they did not cross this. They got out of the material modes, but they did not cross this opposite current. Spiritual world is the other side of these two currents. But if you are stuck in the middle, and if you have these two things, subordination and full-fledged engagement, like Tamal Krishna Maharaj told to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, this is too much. I don't have any time for anything. I'm just morning sadhana, whole day, night, like busy. Prabhupada says, wonderful. Why need some break? Say, why break? You are free from Maya. Maya has no chance to come to you. You take a break, Maya, you will immediately enter in you. And then, oh, really? Yes. Be busy always in spiritual life. It's safer, Prabhupada said to him. Sometime, actually, honestly, sometime a devotee even sent me a text. I still have it. I won't say the name because I love him too. He says, he says, Prabhu, I need to wait to finish my construction in the house. And, my wife, I was almost mentioning the name. She's getting so many interviews with her computer software engineering. And she's going to get the job. She lost the other job. And then we will come full-fledged in your study group. So it just reminded me of what Prabhupada says. Generally, we wait for our problems to solve in order to surrender to Krishna. We think like this. Once we have enough, all this problem is gone, then I'm going to be serious and surrender. But I have a question. But what we forget is surrendering to Krishna is the solution of all problems. We forget that. That what we forget that surrendering to Krishna is the solution to all problems. Not that problem will be finished, then you will come to surrender. So we have to remember this. I will end with this, that you have little introspective, and whenever you have a strong faith inside to sadhu, shastra and guru, and externally you are engaged, then you look at introspectively this way, that that am I appreciating everybody around me, the devotees? Am I seeing them in relation to Krishna? Am I respecting them? If you have that respect, if you really adore even the material creation as Krishna's world, then you are well situated and you will go back home, back to Godhead. While you are in the material world, you can still be in the spiritual world. I'll end here. If there is any question or comments or reflection.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the wonderful lecture. So we have some time, and if anyone has any question, they can type in the chat box. Okay, so Prabhu, we have one question from Jishnu Devaji. Hari Bol, I had a few questions. Is jealousy related to ego? This is question number 1. And question number, okay, Prabhu, you may answer this, then I'll ask the next question.
Is that Jishnu from Austin, Texas? Is that Jishnu from Austin, Texas?
I can't say it.
Oh, maybe. He's a very bright boy. Long time back, I haven't seen him.
He's from Dallas.
Okay, well, Texas, okay. That's good. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm glad. I don't know how you came in contact, but I'm glad you met. He's a very bright boy. So what was the first question again?
Is jealousy related to ego?
Ego is like the house and jealousy is like a kitchen. So is the kitchen in the house? So you think like this, the greed, envy, all these are within the house. The false ego is like a house. So within false ego, all these are the product or components of the false ego. What is the next?
What do we do when we are jealous of somebody because we don't have that quality, but we want the best for them?
First of all, what is jealous? Srila Prabhupada has a one disciple, he's still there. You probably heard, what's her name? She was running for Congress. I can see her face, but I forget. You know, she was running from Democratic side. Anyway, she is a disciple of Siddha Swarup Prabhu. Siddha Swarup Prabhu is Prabhupada's disciple. He lives in Hawaii. And I have some contact with him.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes, Tulsi Dev. Yes, Tulsi Dev. She is the disciple of Siddha Swarup Prabhu. And Siddha Swarup Prabhu asked Prabhupada, what is jealousy? It's very nice. It's in the Veda base. You can look. And Prabhupada says, jealousy means when someone has a rightful ownership to possess something. You have to remember it. When someone has a rightful ownership to possess something, but in your mind, you don't want to allow that person to have it. Means you did not give it, somebody else, he has a rightful ownership. He inherited or he got gifted, whatever. But in my mind, I don't allow that person to have it. That is called jealousy. So then Siddha Swarup Prabhu says, Prabhupada, that means if God has given everybody everything, so jealousy means we are jealousy, envy to God. Prabhupada said, yes, that is the root cause of false ego's problem. So it is dangerous. So what should we do? Well, one of the easiest way to get out of it, take shelter of a advanced devotee in your area. Dallas has Shamsundar Prabhu. There are many devotees I know because I went there a couple of times. Very nice. Take advantage of, and if that is the same Jishnu, he has a wonderful mother. I remember her and his father too. They are wonderful devotees. Take shelter of your advanced parents and advanced devotee. Don't look at them as a parents. Look at them as a devotee parents. You respect them as a devotee. They belong to Krishna. Krishna sent you under their care. Then you develop a respect, reverence. When you, with that respect and reverence, when you serve, then automatically other jealousy mood disappears slowly, slowly. It is necessary we should develop a compassion to our others. Otherwise, the anger and jealousy does not disappear easily. By the quality of an advanced devotee, it is possible easily.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Next question is from Mathura Chandrika Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, with false ego, can we cannot become devotee, question mark.
Correct. False ego will never become a devotee. False ego is never a devotee anyway. False ego purpose is, now you heard it, that how Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Prabhupada liked Tamal Krishna Maharaj more than his other servant. He said that, that's why we're repeating that. It's not like we're partial to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Prabhupada, he likes his interactive. He always have a partner, spiritual partnership. The person feeds. And Prabhupada likes it when Tamal Krishna Maharaj asks. Like Prabhupada had a dream that just before Prabhupada left, that he had a dream that there is a airplane came to take him. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, how they look like? He said, oh, they look like very attractive, handsome, all young man. So how their eyes look like? So their eyes like a bluish, something like yours also. It's something very attractive. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj is always dialogue, interactive dialogue, very nice. And Prabhupada liked it. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj one time asked, how this false ego really act on us? So Prabhupada went near the tree and he held the tree. He said, let me go, let me go, let me go. He said, what are you trying to do, Prabhupada? Who is binding you? He said, well, you're figuring out. I'm asking myself, let me go. Oh, who is holding you? I am holding it. And I am saying that let me go. Will this ever release us? No. We misidentify. We don't know what false ego is. We are taking false ego as the self. Then who is going to release yourself from the false ego? It's difficult, isn't it? When we identify false ego as a self, it's very difficult. So what should we do? Very simple. Always identify as a servant of the servant of Lord Krishna, Mahaprabhu. And see everything in your house, your husband, son, they are not your husband and son. They are devotee of Krishna. They came as a husband or a son, but they are devotee of Krishna. First identity is devotee of Krishna. If you can really respect, this is the biggest thing in our devotee community. We respect sometimes outsider sannyasi comes, outsider advanced devotee comes. But within our own family, there is such a nice devotee. I know my brother, who cares? I mean, I don't say it, but that's how feeling is there. We take it very cheap. How extremely rare to have actually devotee in your own house, in your own life. I was giving class the other day in the temple, and I was reflecting, and I mentioned that. I got a lot of feedback from senior devotees. Alachua is filled with Prabhupada's disciples. That actually when I go to the temple, most of the time nobody is there. 3:30, 4 o'clock, nobody is there. Mangalarti starts at 4:30. And sometimes I wonder, like, if nobody shows up, how will be that day? And after I thought, oh my God, I don't like it. I don't want to be in a temple by myself. Even the Lord is there, but my reciprocation with the Lord is not that deep. I love those devotees to sing together, dance together. Just like a Prabhupada said, why we appreciate ISKCON. I love this. Just imagine all this in the Zoom, looks like the screen is filled. Whoever is there, like a one drop of water. Just imagine each of us are one drop of water. And we're going to flow as a water to the ocean, Krishna. Krishna is compared as ocean. You think it will be easy? No. But if all the drops get together and turn into a river, we can go to the ocean, isn't? So appreciate the devotees, appreciate ISKCON, appreciate all those visitors and family, devotee everywhere. All cooperatively we work to please Prabhupada and Krishna. Then we become like a river. Instead of individual drop of water, we become like a river. All these drop of water merged together becomes a river. Like Bhakti Charu Maharaj has a 3 slogan, to me. He said, never leave ISKCON, always follow GBC, and stay at the lotus feet of Prabhupada. This is wonderful. And I deeply thought about it. When Prabhupada mentioned about this drop of water, I was like, wow, as a drop of water to go to the ocean, Krishna, I'll never be able to reach. But we all as a devotee, we feed each other with the Harikatha and memory. We can all get together and become a small river and enter to ocean. That will be a good way. So mother, we can all do this. Please respect your family. Whether they respect you or not, overlook those, but respect your family as a real dear devotee of Krishna. Don't look at your son if she's the same mother from New Orleans, because her son is a very bright boy, but she always, as a mother, she thinks he should be more brighter. He is already bright because he doesn't fit in the material world. He belongs to Krishna, that's why. He acts like that probably. Everybody in that family is wonderful devotee. I hope that pleases mother.
Yeah, she is replying, thank you, Prabhu, for such wonderful explanation. Okay, next question is from Anastasia Arguel. Hare Krishna. Good evening, Pran Govinda Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Could you please remind us how can one really surrender to Krishna? Thank you in advance.
Have you ever crossed an ocean by swimming? No. Surrender is not an event. Surrender is a process and it's eternal. Even Brajavasis are eternally with Krishna, but they are still surrendering eternally. Krishna told them after he killed, not killed, but subdued Kaliya, then Nanda Maharaj with this Baguri Muni and others, they said, you know, snake, when you play with the snake, I mean, when you are attacked by the snake, you don't want to go home because at night the snake may come back. So they had a line, all the girls in the middle, then the children, then the mothers, grown-up mothers, then grown-up fathers, then the brahmanas, then all the soldiers, military. So they made a big, and they spent that night. And of course, Kamsa sent his another demon, fire demon, and he created a fire. He wanted to swallow and burn. But Krishna told all the Brajavasis, please everybody close your eyes. You know, in material world, if you tell them what people will do, see if I can come too close to my camera. They go like one eye blinking, you know, they want to check it out, what he's going to do. He told us to close eye, but what he's going to do? No, not like this. They literally close their eyes. Why? Because they're surrendered. Surrender means whatever Krishna wants, they do. They're not peekaboo or doing sneaky thing. Surrender means everything Krishna wants, they do it. So surrender, Prabhupada says also to one discussion, it's like a swimming in the ocean. But it's not a salty ocean, it's a nectarian ocean. You can float, you can dive, you can swim. So surrendering is also forever. But in the beginning, surrendering means you have to remember these two things. That what you are willing to give up for the pleasure of Guru Krishna and what you are willing to do today for the pleasure of Krishna. This is the beginning of surrender. And if you don't have that, it will be difficult. Surrender means like this. Surrender ultimately boils down to that what you are willing to give up for the pleasure of Prabhupada and Krishna, you ask every day, every moment, at least every day, once a day, you ask, next 10 minutes, what am I going to give up that will bring pleasure to Prabhupada? And what am I going to do that will bring pleasure to Prabhupada? You think like this. This is the beginning. Then you have to maintain a belief that Krishna will always protect you and maintain you. So like this, there is a series. And I can give one day whole lecture about this surrendering. It's a beautiful process. But in a simple way, you can start every day. Even now, if you say, okay, I'm going to pay attention what Krishna had to say, the Pran Govinda is trying to say. And also I'm going to give up inattentiveness. Can you give up inattentiveness right now? You decide. I want to give up inattentiveness, means mind cannot be destructive. I'm going to pay attention. So you do both. So this is a form of surrender. Krishna says you give your ear, hearing, oral reception. So like that. Thank you for asking. Wonderful question.
This is a question from Mahagopi Radhika Devi Dashri. Hare Krishna, thank you for your class. Please accept my pranam. So, the false ego can be overcome by the mercy of devotees or association of devotees. Can only performing devotional service under the guidance of our Guru cure false ego?
False ego. Actually, when you act on a real ego, then false ego will disappear automatically. And real ego means under direction of a pure devotee or guru. Devotional service is not, cannot be performed without under guidance. You cannot just do on your own and you think this is devotional service. No. Devotional service, bhakti, has to come from a guru parampara, has to be under guidance. Even Krishna, when he comes, he takes a guru to demonstrate this. Mahaprabhu did this. We should learn, also another way to check, we should learn to see that everything belongs to Krishna and everything must be treated with reverence and with service attitude. Everything. Then we can come in contact with spiritual world, the land of the Lord, where every particle is to be worshipped. Everything holds in the spiritual world or even Guru Vaishnava's position, a superior position. We should always meditate. They are superior. What is really is supernatural. We are treating it as though it is a naturally part of the sense experience. No, it is not part of sense experience. Just like I can see a girl and I have a boy body, I can think she is an object of my senses, for my senses to enjoy. That is material. If I see a girl body and think that soul in that body belongs to Krishna for Krishna's pleasure, what can I do to remind that person about Krishna? Then this is spiritual attitude. So that up to each of us. In Shastra says, Vidyate hridaya grantis chinnante sarva samsaya, shiyante chasya karmani drishte akila atmanishchare. Disassociate the ego of separate existence totally from enjoyment. This is very important. You have to disassociate the ego of separate existence totally from enjoyment. You can abolish the tendency to enjoy, to utilize whatever find to satisfy our senses. This is what everybody is doing in New York, New Orleans, wherever you are, Dallas. So you have to abolish the tendency to enjoy, to utilize, and what you should do? Utilize whatever you find for the pleasure of Krishna. This angle of vision, this Maya, this ego, the center of such experience should be totally abolished. Dissolved means no trace of finding it. And then what will happen? All doubts will be cleared. And then you will find yourself very peaceful in spiritual realm. Just one thing, if you can dissolve the sense and enjoying spirit separately from Krishna. It's very subtle. The journey is within.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Oh, Mother Lavannamai, Hare Krishna, you join. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So my question was when you brought about humility. So how do you distinguish between humility and the low esteem?
Humility and low esteem?
Yes, Prabhu.
Seeing myself lower or self-pity. Oh, Mataji, I am so low, I am so bad, I am really disgusted, I am really like horrible, I am this, I am that. This is a self-pity. It is not a humility. Because I'm putting myself, I am low, I am this, I am this, I am this. Where is Krishna here? Humility means I am insignificant of Krishna's servant. I am insignificant of Vaishnava's servant. It sounds similar, but not similar. Humility means identity of self with Krishna through Vaishnava. But if I give myself so much importance, like you heard that example, one devotee says, Prabhupada, I'm so fallen. I am so degraded. Prabhupada said, you are not fallen of nothing. Why are you giving so important about yourself? I am so fallen. I am this. I am this. This is another form of self-pity, is not humility. Humility means identifying self insignificant as a servant of the servant of Krishna. Like that. That's a shorter version.
Beautifully explained. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Very
Mata.
nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So we are coming to the end of the program. So if you permit, can I ask some questions?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So Prabhu, I somehow feel we can also sometimes cultivate false ego in the devotional practices itself. So sometimes we may do some devotional practice, but actually we are cultivating false ego through that practice. And then after some time, at least something like I can realize, oh, I was actually cultivating false ego, not devotion. So how do we distinguish this fine line?
It's
Because
very
initially
easy.
everything looks new and we take it, but after some time we are just cultivating that thing, not devotion.
It's very easy because I was acting on it for many, many years, decades. Probably I'm still acting. I just don't. But nowadays I check at least. It's very easy because outside world don't give so much attention to me. But then when, we join, what happened, that some or other by becoming little serious, sincere, then some responsibility or duty comes, then it is the natural when you acquire some spiritual power, Shakti, then people say, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Oh, naturally, you see somebody subordinate. And some Mataji is paying respect. You go to Namhattu program or this, that, oh my God, everybody is bowing down. It's like naturally you feel the attention. But if I do not keep my attitude very properly, I can collect. I won't mention this name, but one sannyasi told me, he's not a sannyasi anymore. He fell down. He's a very nice devotee. He's still serving. Very wonderful devotee. But he reflects. He told me, be careful because I love you. I'm going to tell you something. What was my highest enjoyment? That I used to come to this temple, and when I would come to temple, and everybody was bowed down. Oh, Maharaj is here, and they all bowed out. And that was the greatest time in my life. I always used to delight. Now I fell down, now I reflect, oh my God, that was horrible. That's like a real false ego to the culminax, You could not get it in a material world. You can get it in the name of devotion. So yes, just like Krishna, when we're facing Krishna, even Bhakti Charu Maharaj gave you one example, very nice. Prabhupada gave that original example. When you're facing Krishna, you don't see your shadow. False ego is coming from you. It's a shadow. But you don't see the shadow. When you have a devotional mood towards the Vaishnava and Krishna, you don't see that shadow. But in order to see the shadow, what do you have to do? You have to turn away from the light. Turn away from Krishna. Turn away from service attitude. Then you see, oh, there is a shadow or false ego. How is that? That when we, in the name of service, I want to count how great I am, if it is focused, if it is glorified, if it is promoted. That itself is the most dangerous. It's a funny example. One devotee, he is so pakka for his Gayatri mantra at 12 o'clock at noon. Some or other, I won't say the name, but he fell asleep. So he read this story in Brahma Vaivarta Puran that similar nature one person had. And in the middle of the day, somebody knocked the door. He said, hey, you forgot to chant your Gayatri. He said, oh my God, yeah, thank you. You just woke me up just on time. Otherwise, I would really feel bad. So he said, no, that's good. By the way, who are you? He said, I'm Kali. What do you mean Kali? The king of the time? He said, yes. I thought you were against the devotional path. You don't like devotion. You always want to move us to you are agent of false ego. You move us away from. He said, yeah, that's what I just did. Because if I didn't wake you up, you will regret and cry to Krishna and you would advance so fast. But I want you to maintain that pride that you chant on time. Because you bragged about it other day. And then Prabhu like, oh my gosh, this is a false ego within me that, I brag and he feels always, I chant on time. I never miss Gayatri. Wow, that itself is false ego. That's so subtle, so sneaky, scary. It is scary. I asked Bhakti Charu Maharaj one time, I don't know if you were there or somebody were there I think Lavannamai Mataji was there. Yeah, I think so. So before Maharaj went, I said, Maharaj, can you give me your mercy, please? Maharaj said, what mercy you want? You are here with me. I said, no, I just want you to humiliate me or something. So I thought it really just to get a little mercy, not sometime, because I was reading that when Vaishnava give little punishment to someone, you get the extra mercy. And in the class, so Maharaj says, any question? So I raised the question. I said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, there is a Vasudeva and Devaki, they had to get rid of these 6 urges, and those 6 urges came in the form of, and Maharaj immediately cut me off. He said, why are you bringing Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? Prabhupada mentioned this. Why don't you see that? And I was like, I forgot that actually I asked him to actually humiliate me, and I was not feeling well. I was like, why Maharaj is killing? Yeah, why did I say Vishwanath? I have no idea. It bothered me for hours. And then after 3-4 hours, there was a lunch time. Maharaj said, so did you like my heavy dose to you? You wanted me to do it and you just gave me the opportunity. I just did it. And I see oh my God, this is how false ego works. False ego is deadly, but it is there within us. Until we are identifying, really feel pride to be spiritual pride, then I am very happy that my Guru has accepted me. I'm so thankful that they have engaged me. This appreciation, grateful attitude, until it fully blossoms, false ego will not disappear.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful explanation. And sorry, we have taken 7 more minutes of your time. So,
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you all the devotees for joining today's virtual Sunday Feast lecture, and meet you next Sunday with Urmila Mataji giving the next lecture. Thank you. All goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Panchakalpatarubhishta Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.